Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Bruiser Bubba, and I am your general manager for UCWA, Undisputed Championship Wrestling Alliance. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take you on a look back on the career of one of the very best professional backyard wrestlers we have had here in not only UCWA, Undisputed Championship Wrestling Alliance, but in GSW, Glade Spring Wrestling, and in my previous company, Prestige Championship Wrestling. I'm talking about their former agent of chaos, Clay Mercer, now known as Bulletproof Clay Mercer. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look back at the career of Clay Mercer. Clay Mercer started out as a youngster in a backyard wrestling company known as XBW. He started there in March of 2015 and worked his way up to compete at our first event down there, but he was unable to make it that day. So he had matches and promos filmed separately from ours, and he was used there kind of in a mid-card type role. Him and Brian Edwards, another guy in XBW, had a big rivalry for a little bit, and they would go on to have a match there in XBW. And then he would kind of fade away from the scene in XBW. He wouldn't be used much anymore down there. That's when he decided to step away. In June of 2015, my man known as the Agent of Chaos, now Clay Mercer, he decided to join me and Channing Steele and El Gato Montes and Youngblood Josh Rollins and Scott Steele and several others, and Seth Michaels as well, in a little company known as Prestige Championship Wrestling. In PCW, you would see a new side of Clay Mercer come out. He was kind of a happy-go-lucky type character during his time in PCW. Now, when things got rough, he would show that he had the determination, the fight, the will, the grit, and the steadfastness to go in there and to compete with anybody. Clay Mercer would go on to become the PCW World Heavyweight Champion, winning a fatal four-way match against Channing Steele, Youngblood Josh Rollins, and Scott Steele. And that was a great matchup for him, one of the biggest wins that he would ever have in backyard wrestling. And this was at a time when backyard wrestling was at a standstill. El Gato Montes recruited Clay Mercer in a lot of ways to join his regime while I was working for and helping out Channing Steele and Scott Steele. And PCW lasted until February of 2016, and that's when we decided to fold away and just run away from the scene. Clay Mercer would vacate the PCW World Heavyweight Championship in January of 2016, and we would have one final match to determine the PCW World Heavyweight Champion, the last one, and Channing Steele would go on to win the championship. After that, the Agent of Chaos, Clay Mercer, would go on to join us in GSW. He would join there in October of 2016. I would not meet up with him on that same day. Earlier in the day, myself, Scott Steele, and Channing Steele went and we filmed a match where it was Channing Steele against Dustin Little. And later in the day, Clay Mercer would have a matchup against Harold Roberts. And that's how we all would get to know one another again and start back in the backyard wrestling business. There you would see Clay Mercer become a two-time GSW World Heavyweight Champion. He won the title for the first time in April of 2017, winning a five-man Chaos Rules elimination match to become the champion. And it was one of the biggest days of his career, and he would enjoy that title win very much so. Later on, he would lose the championship to the Beast, Dustin Little. And 2017 went very smoothly for Clay Mercer. He would be a GSW World Champion he would compete at the very best of his level. We decided to step away from GSW for a few months there, I believe in the fall of 2017. I pretty much told them that I would not be able to come as much for GSW events due to the fact that I was working at the radio station covering high school football and doing the 5-Star Scoreboard show. And they understood that completely and were fine with that. They said if you can come back in 2018, we'd really appreciate it. So I was on the fence about it. I had talks with a couple of them there, Nicole Little, Dustin Little, and we all decided that it was in our best interest to do this one more time and see where it would go. So myself, Clay Mercer, Justin Barton, Razor Pierce now, we would all go down for GSW events in 2018. And honestly, this was where we kind of capped off our most successful run. Clay Mercer would become a GSW World Heavyweight Champion for a second time by defeating me and the Beast Dustin Little in a triple threat match at Vendetta to become the two-time GSW World Heavyweight Champion. He would also become a independent champion for a short while, winning that matchup in a triple threat. And that was really an homage to me because I had done the same thing earlier. I had won the independent championship and then won the World Heavyweight Championship on the same day. And I got to hold those two titles for 2 weeks before losing the independent championship back to Hunter Becker and then losing the world title to Clay Mercer. Clay Mercer had a lot of success in GSW, and then in October of 2018, we decided to step away from GSW, and we have created now our own company here with the help of the Broken Architect / Deceiver Logan Price, and now Bulletproof Clay Mercer and myself. We have created Undisputed Championship Wrestling Alliance, and it has meant the world to all of us to get this thing going, get it off the ground, and see where it could lead moving forward. We hope to recruit more superstars in 2018. But there's a look back on the career of Clay Mercer. It's been a long and winding road for Clay Mercer. He's been in PCW, GSW, and now here in UCWA. In GSW, he was more of a heel-type character. In PCW, he was a face character. And early on here in UCWA, you are seeing that he's going gradually back to being a good guy type persona. And I think that's where he thrives the most. He has been the most successful as a face type persona. And I think the landmark victory for him in his career was winning the PCW World Heavyweight Championship in a fatal four-way match against Youngblood, Josh Rollins, Channing Steele, and Scott Steele. That was by far the biggest moment of his career. The second biggest moment of his career was probably defeating me to win the GSW World Heavyweight Championship for the second time. That first title victory meant a lot to him, but getting to pin one of his very best friends and defeat me for the GSW World Heavyweight Championship definitely meant a lot to Clay Mercer, and I know deep down that that was one of the biggest days and one of the best days that he ever had in backyard wrestling. So, there you go. There's a look back on the career of the Agent of Chaos and now Bulletproof Clay Mercer. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on UCWA. If y'all don't mind, like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and as always, we'll keep you posted on everything UCWA on our Twitter page. We're at UCWA 2019, all caps. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Bubba1. And you can like Clay Mercer's Facebook page, Bulletproof Clay Mercer, on Facebook as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Bruiser Bubba. I'm your general manager for UCWA Undisputed Championship Wrestling Alliance. I want to thank y'all so much for joining me today, and I'll see y'all down the road. Later, everybody. Deuces. The Bruiser Bubba is out.